basically I was reviewing the United States vaccine schedule, and I was interested in, for my own education, reviewing what impact our vaccination program has made on childhood diseases. And basically, if you look at since when we were kids in the 1970s, the number of vaccines that have become available has expanded dramatically. And some of that has been met with some resistance by people in terms of the number of vaccines that are given to children and concern. But I was fascinated to look at data from various sources that have looked at the impact of these vaccines on prevention of death. And this is in the United States, where we have access to clean water and we have good hygiene in general, and it has made a dramatic impact on childhood deaths in this country. So if you look at places where there are less resources and less access to health care, vaccination provides even a larger piece of the puzzle in terms of preventing childhood diseases. So I think we are very fortunate in this country to have access to vaccines, because that dramatically has made a huge impact on childhood death and morbidity. So not only
childhood deaths because they were dying of these diseases that could have been prevented.
And when you look at places in the world where vaccination rates have dropped, even in places that are very that have many health resources, when vaccines rates have dropped, then the amount of disease rises and deaths, unfortunately, from those diseases.
Makes me feel guilty because we've done selective immunization and not much at all with our girls. So how do moms like me affect the U.S.? How does that trend to question the normal vaccine schedule because there's so many?
Right.
How does that affect?
Well, unfortunately, when kids are unvaccinated in a population, we are blessed in this country by the fact that we have what we call herd immunity. So the fact that many people are vaccinated, protects those who are either unable to be vaccinated to some degree, or who choose not to be vaccinated for one reason or another. The problem is that when there is an outbreak of disease, those people who are unvaccinated are often the people who start those outbreaks. And so, because no vaccine is 100% protective, so even those who are vaccinated are not always 100% protected. But if you look at the people who are unvaccinated, they're certainly not protected from those diseases, so they are more likely to contract those diseases and then to pass those on to other people. So outbreaks in a community often start with people who are unvaccinated. So I think also, as you look at your children entering the world, we are lucky in this country to have access to vaccines and high rates of vaccination and programs that provide vaccine for people who are uninsured or underinsured. But there are many places in the world where people are unvaccinated, and as we see more global migration and also our own children traveling, they're going to be at risk for those infectious diseases, many of which are very serious and life-threatening. So I do think it's important for people to educate themselves about vaccines and the actual risks. One of the problems in this country is that we perceive the risk, and many of us, even infectious disease providers like myself, have not seen these diseases, so we don't know how terrible they can be. And so we have maybe grown a bit complacent in our understanding of how serious the vaccine-preventable diseases are. So this is basically looking at invasive infections with the germ called Streptococcus pneumoniae in people that are less than 5 years of age. If you look at the line in orange, that is the vaccine serotypes, and you can see a dramatic decrease in invasive infections. Now that's talking about things like bloodstream infections, meningitis, in children less than 5 since the introduction of that vaccine. So that's made a dramatic impact on children.
So here's where they were pre and there's post?
No, this is what's happened with the vaccine types, and this is what's happened with strep pneumo non-vaccine types. So you can see there's been a steady rate of infections, those invasive infections caused by non-vaccine strains, but there's been a dramatic drop in vaccine strains.
I see.
Now they chose those vaccine strains based on the most common strains of that particular germ. That germ, it's circulating in our community. That people will be exposed to that. So being vaccinated provides substantial protection against this germ that is circulating in the community. Unlike things like poliovirus, which we don't see widely circulating in our community now, this germ is circulating in the community, so this vaccine provides real relevance.
I'm going to run home and check my schedule.
I think this one's important.
Okay.
I mean, all the vaccines are important for a variety of reasons. Some diseases are a lot more common in our community, and some of the germs are more prevalent in our community than others.
Okay, I've just finished my interview with Dr. Canapani, and I'm convinced. I'm going to be going to my pediatrician and reviewing lots of data, and I think I'm going to be getting my kids caught up, because you know what, we're a global society, so my kids are going to be around these same diseases that we're talking about tonight, and I'm going to be doing some research, and probably they're going to be getting some shots. Yep. Thank you, doctor.